Hello, parents. I'm so really glad that you made it here because being blocked from your loving feelings towards your children is brutal for parents. Really, it is. It was terribly painful for me. After all, I brought my children home from the foster care system to make their lives better, right? To make a loving home for them and for myself. I also hoped that life with me would be better. I did. I hoped it would be better than the one they had before me. And of course, it was better in a lot of ways. But on the emotional front, I don't know. If you don't already know me, my name is Ce Eshelman. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, an attachment and trauma specialist. I've been a therapist and a life coach for over 35 years, and I own the Attach Place Center for Strengthening Relationships in Sacramento, California, where I treat attachment wounded and traumatized children and adults. My real claim to fame, though, is being a mother of four, two stepchildren and two adopted children, all beautiful adults now. Bonus, I have two grandchildren. It's 25 years now since I brought two of my children home from the foster care system, but I remember all too well how personally blocked I was in the first few years of parenting them. When I first brought them home, I'd never even heard of the words blocked care before. I remember one night in particular, and it stands out to me because I don't think I've ever sobbed that much in my whole life. I was sitting in my living room. It was long after midnight, and I was just crying it out. I'd just gotten the kids to sleep after hours of them screaming and throwing things and breaking their furniture and calling me every name in the book. I mean, I was stunned to be called a fat bee. I'm not kidding you. I'll never forget it. I felt so alone. I also felt darn crazy. And I thought, there's absolutely no one in my life I can talk to who will understand this. No one. There must be something really wrong with me and maybe something super wrong with my kids. But I didn't know what. And I didn't know how to find out. I was beside myself. The despair was overwhelming. Everything I did didn't work. I went to therapists. I read books. I went to parenting classes, probably a lot that you've been through. I went to peaceful parenting. That seemed nice. And I liked it, but it didn't work. I went to something called 123 Magic. Not very magical. I went to PCIT where they have you wear a bug in your ear, a microphone in your ear, and they talk to you the whole time you're playing with your kids. I don't even know how that was supposed to help me in the long run. I went to TBRI training and nurtured heart. Some things worked really, but mostly they didn't work. And if they did work, not for very long. And frankly, I was turning into a screaming Mimi myself. These 2 and 3-year-old children were causing me to flip my lid every single day. I felt so much shame about it. You might be feeling a lot of shame too. Most of the people who come into the Attached Place feel a lot of shame and despair. The Love Matters Parenting Society start out feeling like failures to the core. There's so much yelling in their homes, right? Too much yelling, so much hopelessness and overwhelm. It's like the sky's falling and there's no one there to hold it up. There's no one there to help us hold it up either. It's just us. And we're there in the proverbial desert with our children who can't be soothed, right? No matter what we do, regularly they melt down and strike out. And if they can be comforted, it's not for very long. And then you're often running again to the next parental power struggle. As my children grew older, it got worse and worse. The behaviors became bigger and bigger, and I was more and more shut down. I was checked out and shut down and brokenhearted. I really was. I was like a country music song. I couldn't feel my love feelings at all. I started to doubt whether I really ever had any love feelings at all. I doubted myself on every front. I mean, I had been a therapist for 15 years when I brought my kids home. 15 years. And I thought I knew a thing or two about parenting children. I taught traditional parenting in my office, but I had taught it to parents of typical children. I thought I was pretty good at that, but actually, I really never met up with adoptive parents trying to heal their kids from the difficult beginnings that they came from. I never tried to help kids with trauma. I serve typical parents with typical children who are having some typical problems adjusting, some issues with ADHD, maybe behavioral problems at school. That's about it. It turned out I was good at that, but I had no idea what was going on in my own living room. Not a thing. I'm not kidding. It was like the kids were hanging from the chandeliers. Not that I had any chandeliers, but you know what I mean. They were hanging from everything and anything. They were breaking all their toys. They were kicking holes in the walls. They were hitting me and spitting at me. I was just freaked out. I was seriously freaked out and I didn't know what to do. I needed help and I couldn't figure out where to get it. The angry fighting and biting and breaking was breaking my heart. It was breaking my heart. I like to share what happened with me with you so none of you feel alone in what you might be going through because I know a lot of you are going through this very same thing. You are not alone in your distress. At some point, maybe 2 years in, I started to feel so overwhelmed. I'm the type of person that kind of type A. I work harder and longer, not particularly smarter and wiser. So I worked harder to find answers, but I was met with my own overwhelm to the point where I was having thoughts of driving myself and the kids over a bridge. I don't mean over the bridge, but I mean off the bridge. Seriously, when I told this person a little dirty secret to my partner, he had this stunned and frozen look on his face. He put his hands on my shoulders and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Honey, you need to get some help." It was like I was waking up from some kind of nightmare. I'm like, "What? Yeah, yes, of course I do. I need help." As bleak as all that sounds, it was actually the beginning of my journey toward hope. I'm happy to tell you that I made it there. I'm pleased to tell you that I went far and wide to find answers and information. I talked to therapists and attachment trauma researchers. Whew, the things I tried at home began to work. They began to work with my own kids. I could hardly believe my eyes. So I started sharing it with other parents. Then I started sharing it with other adopted parents. And those who took a hold of the model saw change in their families. Over time, I created a model that I started implementing with parents at the attached place. Over the years, my success grew into a big center with lots of therapists and other kinds of workers. And eventually I brought my model to the adoptive parents internationally online. I named my model Love Plus Parenting because we all know love is not enough, right? Love's important and it's not enough. When I was blocked, I felt like I was drowning with my hair on fire. And eventually a parent said that same sentence back to me. I think this is truly a universal feeling for adoptive parents. They ended up feeling so overwhelmed that that was a phrase that people used everywhere. I ended up titling my first book, Drowning with My Hair on Fire, Insanity Relief for Adoptive Parents. My editor wanted to call it something like Attachment and Trauma Practices for Home or something. I don't know. Nope. I'm going to call it Drowning with My Hair on Fire because that's how I feel. If you find yourself blocked or inching closer and closer to feeling blocked in your caring, then getting help right now rather than later is wiser. I tell parents this all the time. Your children are just getting older and their bodies are getting bigger. Blocked parenting will make whatever difficult behaviors you're living with now exponentially worse later. I can nearly guarantee that. There is, however, hope. So I want you to hear that. There is hope. I'm going to tell you more about the way out of blocked parenting in the next video, so I hope you'll watch it and gain some insights for your journey toward hope. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, your love matters. When more than love is required, be well.